Claudius's prayer is a dramatic monologue that deals with the actions of Claudius and his thoughts and feelings regarding them. This monologue uses various literary devices to get messages across to the reader. For example, the first one that we come across is personification, and we see this in the phrase, "Oh, my offenses rank, it smells to the heaven." And personification is used in this instance to give the action the characteristic of smell to express the great vulgarity of it. And then we also see personification used again in the phrase, "O lime soul, that struggling to be free art more engaged." And personification is used in this instance to help the reader to understand the intense internal struggle that Claudius is facing. We also see the use of similes in phrases like, "Hearts with strings of steel, be soft as sinews of the newborn babe." And in this phrase, a simile is used to compare Claudius's heart to the muscles and flesh of a newborn baby, because Claudius wishes to be reborn as an innocent, like a child. Vibrant and graphic imagery is also used continuously throughout this monologue. For example, there is a recurring imagery of cursed or diseased objects or actions, and this is used to represent the death and decay that has followed Claudius ever since he murdered his brother. And we see this through phrases like, "Oh, what if this cursed hand were thicker than itself with brother's blood?" Or another phrase it's used in is, "O bosom black as death," or even, "O limed soul." One also notices that in general, the language used in the monologue seems to be that of a very dark and negative nature, using words like foul, wretched, and wicked very often. This mood continues up until the very end of the monologue, when Claudius changes to a sweeter language as he begs for forgiveness, making references now to angels and babies, both often symbols of purity or innocence. This monologue also reveals to us the thoughts, actions, and feelings of Claudius. The monologue first reveals to us that Claudius is not without a conscience and that he does feel guilt over murdering his brother. However, it seems that Claudius's guilt stems not from the actual deed of killing his brother, but rather as a result of his fear of the consequences of the action and his his want for self-preservation. Claudius is aware of the fact that though he is able to escape a fair and righteous judgment on earth for his deeds, he will have to suffer the true and divine interpretation of God in the afterlife. And we come to realize this when he says things like, "But 'tis not so above. There is no shuffling. There the action lies in his true nature." At this point, Claudius knows that he will be judged rightly for his deeds, and that as a result of his crime, he will experience harm, perhaps in the form of an eternity in hellfire. Thus, the prospect of the afterlife comes to petrify Claudius with fear, so much so that he would beg earnestly to the heavens for some help in escaping the painful judgment, even when he knows that he is beyond forgiveness for his actions. And this monologue also reveals to us that though Claudius does contain some feelings of guilt, he doesn't really feel any real regret over the murder of his brother. This is because Claudius's ambition is so much stronger and further reaching than his conscience. This is seen through the way that though Claudius begs for forgiveness for his deeds, he remains unwilling to give up the effects which he gained from them. And this is revealed to us when he says, "May one be pardoned and retain the offense?" This tells us that retaining the crown, the queen, and his ambition is of the utmost importance to Claudius, so much so that he would forfeit his soul for them. So as terrible as these guilty feelings that ravaged Claudius may seem, they're obviously not bad enough to make him change his ways and work towards true regret and repentance. The purpose of this monologue is to allow the reader to understand Claudius as a character in Hamlet and the motives and thoughts behind his actions. This passage serves to humanize Claudius and as a result evokes an emotional response from the reader, which is the main purpose of any piece of literature. And this monologue also sets the stage for Claudius's future actions and allows the reader to understand why and how these events may occur.